Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down how you can fight a broken system by using its very own rules against it. We're going to see how official reports and public data can become your most powerful tools to demand the action you're owed. Let's just dive right in with a pretty shocking contrast. According to one of BC's largest shelter providers, the Lookout Housing and Health Society, the average stay in their shelters is just 31 days. But look at this. For one person, the wait just to get help with their ID was 1,095 days. That's 3 years.
Yeah, you heard that right. A 3-year wait is 35 times the average. So, how is that even possible? This isn't just some simple delay, right? This is a huge statistical red flag. It points to a massive, systemic gap between the services that are promised and what's actually being delivered. And today, we're going to dig into what the system's own rules say about a failure this big.
Okay, first things first. Let's get a baseline. What is a shelter, like the ones run by Lookout, contractually obligated to do? You know, according to the people who give them their money, BC Housing?
The key phrase you need to know is gateway services. This means shelters are not just a roof over your head. They are literally funded and paid to be gateways out of homelessness. And this isn't some optional, nice-to-have thing. It is a core contractual requirement of their funding.
And here is exactly what those services are supposed to be. We're talking about specific paid-for supports that every single person is entitled to. Things like case management, referrals, and, this is the big one for our story, direct assistance with getting the very ID you need to find housing, get income, and actually leave this system for good. So, if these services are mandatory, where does the money to pay for it all come from? Well, let's follow the money trail.
In just a single fiscal year, the Lookout Society brought in over $94 million in total revenue. That is a massive budget meant to run its 168 different programs, including, of course, its big network of emergency shelters.
And get this, of that $94 million, almost $50 million came from just one source, BC Housing. That is taxpayer money, specifically earmarked for housing and shelter operations, the very operations that are supposed to be providing those mandatory gateway services.
So where does all that cash go? Well, as you can see from this chart, the lion's share, almost $65 million, goes to salaries and benefits. That's funding for the staff whose entire job it is to deliver these critical services, from case management to, you guessed it, helping someone get their ID. The resources are absolutely there.
Okay, so the services are mandatory and the funding is clearly there. What do the rules of the system actually say about how those services have to be delivered? This right here is the key. According to BC Housing's own framework, support isn't supposed to be a bunch of casual chats. It's meant to be formalized in what's called an individualized case plan. This is a documented roadmap, and it's required for every single client. It's supposed to outline their goals and assign concrete actions to specific staff members.
And the requirements for these plans are incredibly specific. They have to be written down, they have to include timelines, and they have to be regularly reviewed. Now, this is so crucial because a multi-year, indefinite delay isn't just bad service, it's a direct violation of the documented process they are paid to follow.
So, we've got the promise, the money, and the rules. Now, let's connect all of this back to that 31-day number from the beginning and see how the system's own data becomes the ultimate tool for leverage. And here it is. This chart, taken directly from a Lookout Society annual report, is basically the smoking gun. It states, without any ambiguity, that the average guest moves on from a shelter in just 1 month, 31 days.
You know, the system often projects this image of organized, efficient, fast support. The facilities look modern and capable, and they're really designed to give you the impression that people get the help they need, and they get it quickly.
But behind that professional image, you've got a system that's under enormous pressure. In that very same year, there were over 27,000 turnaways from Lookout shelters. This just goes to show you the incredibly high demand and how urgent the need is for the system to be efficient and move people through like it's supposed to. So once you're armed with this data, you can completely reframe your request. It's no longer a desperate plea for help. It becomes a reasonable, evidence-based demand. You know, like the advocacy guide says, asking for one simple task to be done in 30 days when you've already been waiting for 1,095, well, that isn't being pushy, it's being generous.
So, how can someone actually use all this information to turn a frustrating years-long delay into concrete, trackable action?
The strategy is all about countering those vague, passive promises with direct, informed questions. So when they say, "We're working on it," your response is, "Show me." Show me the written case plan with the actions and timelines that you are contractually required by the BC Housing ESP framework to create and to maintain for me.
And if you get no action, there is a clear, multi-step process for escalation. You start with the local shelter manager, then you move up to the organization's regional director, and finally you go to the external funder, BC Housing, with a formal complaint for breach of contract.
And let's be clear, an official escalation to BC Housing has real teeth. This isn't just some complaint that gets filed away and forgotten. It can actually trigger serious financial and operational consequences for the provider, everything from withheld payments to full-blown audits and compliance orders. They have a very powerful incentive to avoid this.
So here's the crucial point. Accountability rarely just happens on its own. It has to be demanded. And by understanding the rules, the funding, and the provider's own performance data, a personal, frustrating struggle gets transformed into a clear-cut case of contractual and systemic failure.
This reframes the entire act of advocating for yourself. You aren't being difficult. You're not asking for some special favor. You are simply demanding the exact service they are paid millions of public dollars to provide. You're holding them accountable to their contract, and you're exercising your rights under the regulations that govern them.
And that's our explainer. We'll leave you with this final thought. A public support system gets tens of millions of dollars to help people. So what does it really mean when that system's own data gives you the clearest possible evidence of a 1,095-day failure?